Wow, way better roll. Way better.
Like, love it. I'm like, ready?
Okay. This is Haley. And this is Bailey. And you're listening to Text Me When You Land. Are you watching Bachelor tonight?
I just realized my mic was not in place. Okay. Yeah, duh. Are you?
Well, we have dinner at 6:45. Will we make it? Probably.
It's at
maybe
8.
Tomorrow. That's a quick turnaround for a dinner. Our coloring just changed so much. I went from like
I know. I look like a ghost.
I look like orange.
You look. I just always. I will be tanning tonight.
The beginning of this podcast is hectic already. It's like all over the place. Something I was thinking about because I was very stressed about this. Not stressed. I was like running, trying to get ready to record. Was I am still in my workout outfit from this morning in my hair. I look like I'm about to do a workout video.
Ew,
like,
Bailey, that's
I
disgusting. Jeez.
you know
Who
those
hangs
workout
out in their
videos?
workout clothes all day?
I haven't been home.
I do that
Don't
literally
judge
all
me
the
here.
time. The only reason I've changed right now is because we're recording.
I know, and you look all put together, and I'm like, my hair's still up. I literally ran
I
in
only
the house
had my bangs
to do
crimped,
this.
and I was like, I should probably crimp the rest
Do
of
it
my
all.
hair. Yeah, because I was like, this looks weird. That or I was gonna wash my hair, and that's a whole process in itself.
I feel like our new news came out really well today. It was just, everything we've been thinking. This is how we talk on the phone. If you want to know, it is absolutely all over the place at all
it's
times.
like a pinball machine. If you can't keep up, then we're not coming back to that. Like, it's long gone.
Yeah, we are so quick. Everyone always says that. I feel like your parents, when they heard me talk, they're like, "How do you keep up?" I'm like, "We just learn each other. We just all over the place.
Rapid fire.
My brain moves really quick too, especially if we haven't talked in a little, which I feel like we haven't talked in like 2 whole days. So it's a long time.
I feel like we haven't talked in like a week.
We recorded a podcast 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
But that does not count.
Okay, that doesn't count. We haven't talked in like a week.
That's a long time. It's life. It happens. And we're both leaving town this week too. So it's like.
I know. My laundry currently is all over drying except right behind me because I moved it for this.
I just barely unpacked from Mammoth.
I just did laundry from Mammoth yesterday.
Same.
Bad. I was like,
if I didn't have leaving town, if I wasn't leaving town, I probably would have still had laundry.
I had to do laundry because our laundry basket was crazy full. I was like, oh my gosh. Talking about not.
Oh yeah, go for it.
As you're cleaning your nail, you're like, wow. Talking about not unpacking from Mammoth. Today we're talking about procrastination. And Haley, do you usually procrastinate or not? Why is that word so hard for me right now?
I put the pro in procrastination. I'm so
What is it? Everything, or is it certain things, or like where do you find that you procrastinate the most?
I don't know. It just depends. It's very what's the word? Inconsistent.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought about emails. Like we were talking about how work stuff and emails. And I was like, I guess I don't think it's that I procrastinate getting back. I think I just do it whenever I get on my computer next,
Yeah. What about like editing?
Editing what?
Content. Like content? Content. Like do you procrastinate?
I try to do it as soon as I can because it gets lost in my camera roll. And I put it into albums, like certain things if it's like a vlog, but then I just like to get.
I personally like editing super after. I like to edit right after because I feel like I'm so into what I shot and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Like I'm gonna edit it. Where if I wait like even a week, I'm like, oh, like something new and whatever I filmed. So I've definitely tried to do it right on it. But what about and I'm trying to think, cleaning, procrastinate or not procrastinate?
It just depends on what I'm cleaning. Like a toilet? No. Ew. Clean that shiz. I think the areas that I procrastinate most in life would come down to packing. And for example, I have not started packing for my trip that I leave this week at all. I'd say picking up my house. Yeah, I'm getting really good at last minute packing. I'm very proud of myself. But I also start thinking about it a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. I already know generically. I think something that we're really good at procrastinating, which we should be a little bit better about. We are getting better about is podcasts.
I knew you were gonna say that. We are, but I feel like we found such a routine with how
We
we
really are good with
procrastinate that
it.
it
Yes.
works really well. But before, I almost feel like doing it every week has given us that consistency of how, at least for me, like editing and all that stuff, but it does come quite close to the day that it comes out, the editing gets finished.
It's just
Like
good, which
usually
it keeps it live in real time for everybody when they listen,
yeah.
so
Yeah. No, but it is hard to get ahead. I think it's also hard to get ahead because you really want to sit down and be in the moment and talk about things that are going on. And if you get too far ahead, you can't, like it gets outdated.
yeah. What about, like, going to bed? Do you ever, like, procrastinate going to bed? Apparently, according to a statistic I read, it said that people go to bed or procrastinate going to bed later at least once a week.
That everybody wait, the statistic was everybody does it at least once a week?
Yeah, like, well, for the study they did, not, like,
Okay.
everybody.
Do I that's a hard question. I feel like I love getting in bed, but I like to lay in bed doing something. So maybe I'm procrastinating going to sleep.
I don't know if that's answers the question or not, but okay, I'll take it.
I'm just thinking, like, do I procrastinate going to bed? No, because I like getting in my bed, but like
Oh, yeah, it's
going
the
to
best part.
sleep, maybe because if I want to do some, yeah, I don't know. My answer is not going well right now. I don't know the answer to that one.
That was really complex. I asked a really
Yeah,
complicated
it's
question.
such a hard
I mean,
question, and
there
I
are
can't
a lot of
answer.
phases to going to bed. I think for me, I could say, yeah, I procrastinate going to bed because I'll be like, oh, let's tidy up really quick, and then I'll be like, oh, let's like get this ready for tomorrow, and and then it's I don't. But maybe that's my bedtime routine. Maybe that's not
I
procrastinating.
know. That's why I'm like, I.
Okay,
What's the
so now we don't
definition of
know. Are we? Yeah,
procrastination? Do we
like
have the
pushing something
definition?
off until the last minute.
I mean, I'm just trying to think because I feel like procrastinating then, wouldn't it be more like, "Oh, you coulda cleaned in the morning, but you pushed it off until the evening," right? Versus, like,
No,
not
because I
going to
was like
bed with
pillows on the floor from when I was laying on the sofa before going to bed.
We're getting real complicated in this not complicated conversation, so we're just gonna move on to the next thing. Just keep it
Okay, I
going.
know, something I was thinking about we were talking about is laundry. Didn't we like, I really do push off doing laundry as, like and unpacking. I used to unpack so fast after a trip, and now it's, like, painful for me to
I do
unpack.
not like unpacking, and this trip when we got back from Mammoth, Evan, like, I knew the second we pulled down the driveway, he was gonna be like, "Let's unload the car and unpack." And literally, like, an hour before we got home, I think we stopped In and Out, and I was like, "Oh, I really don't wanna unpack in an hour." And I, like, prepped myself, and then I just unpacked the second we got home, and I was like during it, was I a little bummed? Yes, I was like, "Oh, this is not what I wanna do right now." But then
Wait,
after, I felt
unpack the
really good.
car or unpack your stuff?
Unpacked all our bags.
I thought you said you just
I
did
didn't
it
do
yesterday.
laundry.
Oh, okay. I was like,
So did
I'm
a lot from my
confused.
bag end up in the laundry? Yes. So it was,
Bryce does
but
that. I'm like, "'Kay, just because it came on the trip does not necessarily mean it needs to be put into the washing machine." He's like, "It's all just needs to start over."
and
Like, "Oh,
all needs to be refreshed.
alrighty then." At least he doesn't dry all of his clothes because that would just he would have his clothes be worn out.
Well, that's what the problem for me with laundry is it's not just an easy task. It's not like, oh, a load and then do it in the dryer. Like it has to lay out for a day and it looks so messy. Like 90% of Evan and I's stuff is air dry. I was like, what when we get a house, we're gonna have to build something into the wall where it like comes out because it just ends
Oh,
up
I've
all
seen
over
those,
the
like, the
furniture.
racks that come out.
Yeah.
Those are
It's gonna have to
sick.
be something like that because of how much we don't
Yeah, that's how it is on
dry.
upstairs, like, the landing bars.
Oh
That's
yeah,
where
yeah,
we
yeah.
it's everywhere. I remember when we stayed at that Airbnb in Florida and you guys were in
Had
the
just unlocked,
RV,
yeah.
and then I walk in the kitchen and your laundry's everywhere, just drying, and I was like, "Oh, they have laundries now, like, they don't have they can do it, like, in their own home, they have to go to a public
Yeah.
facility." Wait, how did you do that?
We would go to a place and do it or at a friend's or a
I know, but
family if
when
we
they
were
would air
around them.
dry, would you air
Oh,
dry it in
we
your
had
RV?
see, we have a rack, but Evan has the RV right now. But the
Evan.
I know, but my drying rack, we did order a rack and that was amazing because it just would, like, fold up and then, like, open when you need to dry stuff. It was a little bit of a task, but it was nicer than stuff everywhere because you couldn't put stuff everywhere in an RV. There's no space. to lay out
Yeah, that's what I
everything.
was wondering. I'm like, would it just look like a bunch of fabric just hanging everywhere?
That's what this room feels like right now. It feels like I threw stuff in
And
every
then I look
direction.
around and I'm like, clothes everywhere. And then
Yeah,
you're like, I have nothing to wear. But then you see it all drying and you're like, I have everything to wear.
right?
It's
Have
true.
you found that something helps your procrastination? Have you found
Procrastination.
have you found that something helps you in a day-to-day, like getting up and like for me, getting up and working out or like different things? Have you found certain adding things into your routine help you or no?
Yes. Caffeine.
Okay.
I think this is an ADD thing because ADHD, whatever you want to call it, I don't identify with the hyperactive, so I don't drop anyway, beside the point. So go listen to our ADD podcast if you wanted to know about that. Yeah. But I think that's a part of it because I've stopped taking my ADD medication for, health purposes, but I'm like such a morning person, but my mornings are a little bit slower start compared because when you take an ADD medication, it's a stimulant, so it gets you going faster. And so I'm definitely more slow in the morning. So I've been trying like coffee and I've been trying like Zip Fizz and caffeinated drinks and caffeine pills. And only thing that I've noticed really gets me going is pre workout. But I can't take too much caffeine because then I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. So like,
Yeah, that's not good.
but
It
that really
is you
helps me get
definitely
going.
definitely finding that routine that works for you because I like a slow morning, so I always get up and give myself like an hour to drink my coffee and relax and all that. But I still feel like if I, especially working from home, get up and like either go work out somewhere or work out at home, I feel like then I sit down after and I'm like, okay, I'm getting this, and this done. Where if I don't do that, I'm like in my PJs and I'll kind of like lag a little more than when I just have something that got me going.
That's so funny. On Saturday morning, so every morning I'll get up and I'll put my workout clothes on so that way I can just like after do my morning breakfast, whatever, I can just jump into my routine of working out. But on Saturday morning, I decided just to come down in my PJs, but I didn't brush my hair or anything. I was just like crazy hair. And I go down the stairs and I come in the kitchen and Bryce turns around. He's like, woof. It's like, oof. I'm like, don't oof me. And he's just like, nothing, nothing. You look great. And I was like, whatever. He's just like, you just usually aren't. Usually you're like all like in your workout clothes, not your pajamas, and your hair's just. I'm like, I'll be right back. He's like, no, 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 you're fine. But I'm just like, yeah, I definitely tried to take a little bit of a slower morning that on Saturday. But I like that you have like a rhythm with it. What about you? Is there anything that helps you with your procrastination?
In general, I'm trying to think. I think just like waking up and having something really helps me get the day started routine because when we work from home, I feel like that. Or even just getting out. It doesn't even have to be working out. Like if I go to a coffee shop, that'll help me sit down and really start it. And once I get on a roll, I can get on a really good roll. But sometimes it's more like, oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it later. Where I've been trying lately to like make a list and be like, this is what I'm getting done today. Cause I feel like when there's so many things, then it's like I push off a bunch of the random things that I know don't need to. Like this last weekend, I went through and got a bunch of random things that I've been putting off for a while. And I was like, wow, I feel so much better. Why didn't I just do that originally? But you don't think of it until you sit down and, like, it piles up, I feel like. You don't
It's
always notice
true.
how much you're pushing off.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to push off certain things with procrastinating, but is there anything that, like, if you start to procrastinate this one thing, you'll start to go crazy? Because, like, I've heard procrastination can be productive too. Like, for me, waiting last minute to pack for a trip is way better for me than
When you start, like,
starting
too
now
early.
too early because
Yeah.
then I'll start stressing about it and I'm
Mm.
like, "Oh, I can't do this yet, but I can't do that." But as opposed to
Mhm.
like waiting until the night before or even the morning of, which sometimes a little too late for me, but like at least the night before, I can just knock it all out.
What was your original question? I forgot. Alright, we'll just go off that.
Is there any type of procrastinating you do that like if you push it off too long, like you'll start to feel anxious or like it's like almost
Yeah,
it's
that was a
not
good yeah.
productive?
I feel like for work stuff, if I know I have to get something done and I have deadlines, if I push it off and it starts to get close, I am thinking about it constantly in the back of my head and that starts to stress me out versus just getting it done way ahead of time. That definitely works way better and I'm not as like panicked or overthinking it when it's farther out because it's like, "Oh, I have time to work on it." And I usually end up finishing it and it's totally complete versus like when you do it I do it too close to a deadline, I'm overthinking it and I'm like, "Well, I don't have time if I wanna change it up or fix it or whatever." And I think that definitely can stress me out.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about your family? Is there anything that like Evan or your family like will procrastinate that you notice like you do because you see them doing it? Or the opposite, or because they procrastinate it so much that you don't do that because you're like, that drives me crazy.
Oh, I have a good one on this. Evan is such a last minute trip planner, like booking tickets, booking plans. Any of that is always really last minute, which for the last few years I've gotten really used to. And I'm actually been like, oh, this works. But now we're not traveling as much for his work and we're traveling more for leisure. And we're like 2 months out from a big trip. And I'm like, we need to book this now. And usually we book it really last minute. But because this is more leisure, I'm like, we need to plan activities. And we have just a lot more planning than when we were doing it for his work. There was already plans kind of set. We didn't have to do as much of that. So that for sure, when we push off booking stuff to last minute, that makes me a little overwhelmed. If it's like I have to or we have to plan it.
For me, it's probably cleaning. Like I'm very much because my mom would like we had like cleaning help when I grew up, and so it's really easy for them to just be like, "Oh, well, we have cleaning help coming, so we'll just wait to like have them do it." But since I don't have that luxury of having cleaning help, it can get dirty really fast, and it's easy to be like, "Oh, I'll just take care of that another day." But it I don't know, runs rampant in
Yeah,
my mind, and I'm like, if I don't do
I
this now, I'm
uh-huh.
going to
That's a
lose my
good one.
mind.
If my room is not clean and I'm trying to work, no. Like it
And
needs to
that's
be
how I am,
clean.
like, if my clothes are disorganized, that's like one thing, but if it's my bathroom, I cannot stand a messy bathroom. Like, my counters on my side of the sink, and like, Bryce is so different than my side, I'm like, I have to have it all very structured and clean and, like, off the counter. I used to sit on the counter when I used to get ready, but I don't anymore, so that's kind of where it started from because I didn't wanna sit on, like, a dirty counter, but I definitely, yeah, have to have, like, it tidy at least enough for me to function and not feel crazy.
Yeah, because then you're just thinking about that and then you don't get anything else done and you end up bouncing around to a bunch of different things and just vicious
Mhm.
cycle.
You know what's interesting too, I see a lot is people will say like, "Oh, I'm so OCD about these things," and that drives me bonkers when people say OCD because I know people who actually have obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's like it's not like people have fabricated this like disease and disorder as something that's I don't know, they, like, glamorize it. They make it look like it's cute. It's like a cutesy thing. Like, "I'm so OCD, I have to have these certain colored pens," or whatever. I'm like, "That is not that." And it's just weird because you don't hear people walk around being like, "Oh, I am bipolar," you know? It's like it's the same kinda concept. I just think that's kind of interesting. That's kinda reminded me of when people are like, "I have to have it clean." I'm just like, "Hmm, how do we do that?" Did you ever procrastinate in school at all?
I
Like,
was gonna
homework
ask you
assignments?
this at the beginning. I feel like I did. I'm trying to think back, but I feel like I did. I'm I'm trying to think like
It was so long ago, I just don't even know.
I know. I'm really trying. Someone yet recently was like, "When did you graduate high school?" I was like, I should know this." It was 2016, but I really had to think about it.
You're such a baby.
I think.
My
No, that's
10-year
right.
is in May. How weird is that?
Are you going?
No.
Oh.
I actually don't know if there's a party or anything, and even if there
Oh.
was, no way. I
No way.
am not my
Did
cup of tea.
did you procrastinate in school?
No, never. Couldn't. I couldn't relax. I couldn't hang out with my friends unless and I don't mean that as, like, my parents said I couldn't hang out.
No,
Like,
you just
I
couldn't for
physically couldn't
yourself.
yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
enjoy the moment if I had, like, an assignment hanging in the back of my mind. I
Yeah,
had
I'm
to have
trying to
that
think if
done.
I guess maybe I didn't because I feel like I was always such a like I would get so stressed if I didn't turn in homework or I didn't do this or so I feel like maybe I didn't. I really why can't I remember this? I feel like I should know this.
I mean, honestly, it's when it's like it's come and then it's gone. It's like one of those things you don't really think you're gonna think about again
Yeah, I
until it's
guess.
like such a
Yeah.
situational circumstance. I don't think
Yeah.
that most people would be like, I don't know, did I turn homework in on time?
I know I turned in homework on time and I was always like I would get stressed missing school. Like I'd be like, "Are you sure I'm sick enough?" My mom's like, "Bailey, you're sick. You have a fever." I'm like, "Are you sure I shouldn't go?" Like, "What? What kid does that?" Like, I was sick. I could stay home. Why would I even fight that?
Mhm. When it comes to, like, daily activity, I was thinking, what about your content planning and, like, posting on Instagram? Do you have to have that planned out, or do you do it, like, moments before? How
Oh, no, 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 I cannot do it moments before. I at least have to have, like, a day or 2. I'm, like, a week planned out right now, but I
That's nice.
usually have to have it goes in phases, like, if I have enough time to get ahead, then I definitely try to because it feels really good, but that's not how it always is for sure, and I at least the day before have to have it planned. I just don't work well under pressure like that, and it makes me, like, overthink or panic or feel like I'm definitely have to be planned. How about you?
It really just depends on the day. I
Yeah,
I
you're
I
good at
I
I know you
love having things planned out,
but
but
I know
I'm
you're
really
good at
good.
editing day of too and just like
Yes,
I
I'm
can do
very
that and I've done it, but I definitely don't prefer it and I try not to do it because I know it stresses me out.
right. It's nice having it planned out. I remember when
Yeah.
I first started Instagram, I had like a spreadsheet of it all, and
You
I
were
would be
so
like,
what? Yeah.
I was like so organized. Like, I post this day, this day, this day, and I'm like,
Do you
now I'm
have you
like,
don't have a content calendar? You're just kinda
no,
oh, really?
oh, is this something I
I
should have?
I don't know. That's just what I
I
have it all,
do, but I
like,
don't use
lined
it all
up.
the time. Like, I have it on
Okay.
my, like, online planner, but
Okay.
I'll use it for, when I have, like, ads and, like, brand deals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it's just, like, I don't know, it really just depends on my vibe and
No,
if
it's
I'm
cool to hear. I just am curious. Everyone does like,
yeah.
I usually have, like, 2 or 3 weeks of, like, ideas on that lined up, and then I shift them based on, like, what I've edited and is
I
done.
should go back to using that because I have a note on my phone of all this ideas I wanna use, but I'm
That
like,
was what I was running into is I just had so many ideas everywhere that I was feeling super overwhelmed, where when I just got it organized, it kind of you're not as overwhelmed
I
with
feel
it.
like
But
I'm,
I
like,
like
in,
to
like,
hear.
I'm never gonna get organized ever. Just like,
You're
it's
going
never
to.
gonna
I
happen.
believe in it. I believe in you.
I got a desk, so that will help.
That is.
I
That's a start.
procrastinated my work life 2 years later. It's hard.
Um It is. There's just so many things to do, and I think when there's so many things and you have this long, long list, you feel like you do a little here and a little there, and that's something I feel like I've had to learn is like, okay, I'm doing this today and I'm doing that tomorrow because it feels like you never finish. It feels like you have so much going on if you don't organize it. At least that's how I feel.
Totally, yeah. It's interesting to hear what we actually consider procrastinating and what we don't. I
I
feel like
know.
I
I
went
know.
into
This
this
was fun to
expecting
talk.
more, like I did it more, but I'm like, maybe I don't
Yeah.
procrastinate as long as I do. I mean, the only thing I can like nail down is packing.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. I mean, it's kind of fun to talk. I mean, it is fun to talk about because once you dive into it, it's like, oh, well, I don't really procrastinate there, but we do here, just different things. And I think everybody does. And every day is so different. I think that's something for us. It's not like our routine's always the same. And that has a huge play in being able to be like, do I procrastinate or do I not? I don't know. It depends where we are, what we're doing.
Yeah. I think it's just really important if you do procrastinate, like, and you want to be better about it, is having something to keep you accountable to. Like you said, like having something to go to, like you said, coffee shop or a workout class. Like for me, it's like when I have something planned that next, like, or whatever is going on with something that I'm going to or needing to do, having that, like, I wouldn't need to pack if I didn't have a trip. Does that make sense? A deadline. Like, and that's what I work really well when I have like an actual
Yeah,
deadline, and
me
when you're
too.
your own boss, it's hard to make yourself give you, like, those
Yeah,
deadlines because then you're like, "Oh, I can push that off whenever." But it's like, "No,
totally.
I need to be accountable and have the discipline to actually do it."
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. That was such a fun topic. We want to know if you feel like you procrastinate, what areas you do procrastinate in. It is interesting once you dive into this more. So leave a comment on this podcast.